an interview with the millionaire next door who gave it all up for peace of mind and now living on $300 a month. Jerry Brown here with Jerry Brown Travels.
Elaine here from Jerry Brown Travels.
Jack here from Jerry Brown Travels.
Dan here from Jerry Brown Travels.
And Laura here.
Okay, we're going to do a series here. It's going to be a 4-part series where we're going to interview each one individually and find out how they have been able to live on $300 a month each, and they're doing co-housing. So follow us in this series and you'll learn a little bit about Elaine, Jack, and Dan and their personal stories. I know you'll find it interesting. I want to introduce you to Jack. And Jack has an interesting story. It is from, what did you say, riches to rags?
Yeah, be from riches to rags would probably be the best way to describe that story.
Riches to rags. Now, he's living on $300 a month. But it wasn't always that way, was it?
No.
Give us a little background story on, how you came to what you're doing today and where you came from and the whole process of that.
Okay. Well, I was married with a couple of kids and retired really early at about 39 and moved to New Zealand. And at the time I was spending about $25,000 a month. What my accountant told me was my burn rate. I didn't even know what it was, but
$25,000 a month?
yeah, and that was 20 years ago. That's probably like 40 or 50 today.
Wow.
It was a lot of money. We had, all the trappings, the cabin at the lake and nannies and just everything. Just 2 cars, a whole big family, and there was lots of income coming in, and so a lot of it got spent.
Okay. So what happened? Because now you've had a whole shift of consciousness, and now you're a minimalist. You're living in a co-housing situation here. Tell us, a little bit of what happened. Was there something in your life that really just shook up or just switched?
Well, yeah, that's a good way to put it. At one point in my life, I had a lot of money. I had about 100 and some properties, and so it was a very busy, full, what you call living large, I guess, but there wasn't a lot of peace in it.
Okay.
And I guess that's the key word. I thought I knew what happiness was, and I had a picture of it, and I was able to do all the things to get what I wanted. I just was one of those lucky people that got successful. But there was no peace, and that became an issue.
No peace.
Yeah, there was lots of everything else,
Huh.
but there was no peace.
Okay.
And peace became a relevant factor. I think that at one point I literally made a conscious decision to put peace as the highest priority.
Okay.
And that was different. Prior to that, it was about, more properties, more, and becoming was probably the highest priority. It was just becoming. But it never seemed to, I'd get one house and I thought, oh, well, if I get 2 houses, then I get 2. Well, if I got, a little complex, well, I got that. And, well, if I had a few million in the bank, okay. Well, if I lived in New Zealand and at the lake in the summer, that happened, but there was no peace. It was never enough. You know what I mean? I understand these billionaires. You think about these guys that have multi-billions and you wonder, why are they still accumulating billions? It's because it just never seems to be enough.
Okay.
And so until that decision was made that peace is my one priority, then over the next 20 years.
Was there a defining line that you could do? It just something maybe happened that you switched to putting peace as your priority?
Yeah, I remember it clearly. You want peace, and I think that's always generally in the background, to be happy and peaceful.
Yeah.
But the properties didn't do it. I went and sold everything. I moved to New Zealand, and I thought I had the perfect life. I had my wife and kids, and I'm living in New Zealand, retired in my late 30s, and and golfing every day, which was my kind of way of, my idea of peace. But I remember sitting up one night and worried about, I'd sold everything and put it into this international portfolio of funds, and I was so concerned with that, and I couldn't get it out of my mind. I was always concerned with it.
You were
And I
obsessed
guess I
with
was
it.
Obsessed, yeah. So when I defined myself as my portfolio and my position and my status and all of that, defining myself like that was not peaceful.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. So I remember sitting up at 3 in the morning, it was at the middle of the night, and I'm not sleeping. I'm worried about the international markets, you know. And I just said to myself, oh my God. Well, there happened to be a book that symbolized the peace, because they talked about peace.
Okay.
And it was A Course in Miracles, and that just happened to be the tool. It could be any tool, but I realized that I had to make a conscious choice between the physical, monetary things of this world,
Right,
or peace of mind.
right.
That there was a real, actual choice to be made, and I made it.
Yeah.
And from then on, my life changed, and 20 years later, here I am. I mean, I don't have the fortunes I had; they're pretty much gone. And I moved to Ajijic here about 3 years ago, and with very little, well, relatively speaking, it was probably 5-figure bank account, but I have some really good friends, and we went in together to buy a house, and we have modest living needs, but
So you're co-housing, you're splitting the expenses,
yeah.
like that. So now you're down to living on $300 a month. I mean, wow, what a, but now I can just see that you're very happy, you're very peaceful, you're really enjoying yourself on a whole different level. I just sense that from you.
Well, I don't have this huge preoccupation with 130 properties and tenants, and I don't have 38 pages. My pager used to go off like crazy, so all of these people wanting to get a hold of me, and now nobody cares. I'm like, I don't have any money. I mean, so I have a lot of peace and time, and yeah, you think about these things. I guess you believe that or you hear these things that money can't buy you happiness. But I'm fortunate enough to have been rich,
Yeah.
and realize that's a fact. I guess if you haven't been there, that's different. But now the important things. I mean, just going for a walk with my girlfriend down the Malecon. I have the time and the peace to enjoy the view, the mountains, the clouds, the birds, the butterflies.
Okay. So living a minimalist lifestyle has actually fulfilled your dream of peace.
I guess, yes. Yeah, I never looked at it. It's just where it ended up, after I made that choice. Here I am. I never really thought of it until,
Yeah.
put it that way.
Yeah, yeah. So now there's so many people that watch this YouTube, and they are hungry. I mean, they're hungry to retire. They want to retire at 40, 50,
Yeah.
And that. Everybody needs a nest egg, okay? In other words, you got to start with that. And so you had a huge amount of nest egg, and then you eventually, and you still at some point had a nest egg to live the lifestyle you live now, okay? What would you say to somebody that maybe hasn't quite gotten that much money set aside, or how much money do you think they would need to get set aside, to live a more, which you've achieved, lifestyle, minimalist and living on a very small amount of money?
Yeah. What would they need? Well, there's a lot of different ways, to approach it, because if you have a small income, I mean, if you can live on $300 a month, you don't need a massive income.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of ways, even just walking dogs around here, or babysitting people's houses, or there's a number of simple things that can be done for a few $100s a month. Most people are trying to make thousands, you know?
Right.
If you focus in on a few hundred of what you actually need, it's much easier to find something to do, especially if it's something you enjoy doing.
Right.
And that would be a priority if your peace is your objective.
Yeah, yeah.
So that way, if what I found, the freedom in not needing much, you know, not having a car, I have to walk a lot, which I get my exercise. I don't need a gym membership anymore. You know, not having a car, I don't have to worry about accidents or insurance or gas, or there's so many things. Not having the car has really been a blessing. I thought I'd really miss that.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that's really difficult, because when you think about it, you think you're really sacrificing or you're going to miss a lot.
Yeah.
When you think about living on $300 a month,
Right.
you really feel the sense of loss from what you're used to looking at $300 a month.
Yeah.
But that's not been the experience. The experience is you have a ton of time. You know, being able to just wake up in the morning, and if you don't feel like getting out of bed for a few hours, you don't have to.
Right.
You know, I mean, that's a joy. You know,
Yeah.
if you want to just go for a walk today, and there's not much else you want to do, or just visit some friends, there's that is available. That opportunity is available.
So the quality of life has changed drastically from being on the golf course to this calm, relaxed, very relaxed lifestyle. And by me being a minimalist, like you've achieved, you know, your goal of peace, and that's just amazing. Yeah.
You know, that's funny you mentioned the golf course, because I used to live for golf, you know, and we'd be playing like, you know, I'm hanging around with my rich friends, so we'd be playing like $50 a hole, and you know, everything's intense, and you're like, oh shit, you know, you're on the golf course trying to have peace, but you're not at peace, it's a war, you know, everything's a battle. You always have objectives and goals, and it's funny because now I don't need to hit a ball. I can go for the same walks that I did on those beautiful golf courses without some mission, without some goal.
Right.
And so peace doesn't come as a result of getting a birdie.
Right.
I go in peace and I walk in peace, and peace is the means and the end, and not just the end.
Yeah.
So,
Yes, it's
so
great.
peace is the constant.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's just such a beautiful, I'm not living on $300 a month because it's an effort. You know, I'm living on $300 a month because the things that bring me joy don't cost anything.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. Now, with your co-housing arrangement here, so there's 3 of you.
Yes.
And so you split all expenses.
Yes.
And you've all pulled your money together, and were able to pay for this house.
Yes.
And so that costs. So now you don't really have much of a housing cost at all.
No, and like for something like this, a simple house with a room and a bathroom for each of us, the taxes are like $120 a year.
A year.
Divided by 3 is $40 each, which is like, I don't know what that is, $3.75 a month
Yeah.
for
Right.
taxes. I mean,
Yeah.
it's almost funny. I mean, to pay your taxes and laugh and kick your heels and skip out of the municipal building.
Right.
It's
Exactly.
another day to celebrate.
Yeah.
Tax day.
Right. There's a lot of things to celebrate. Yeah. Now, have you ever heard of the F.I.R.E movement?
No. What is the F.I.R.E movement?
The F.I.R.E movement is financial independence, retire early.
Oh, right.
And you've achieved that. You're financially independent, you retired early, you know what I mean? And now you are choosing what you really want to do from a real soul level of satisfaction. You're not chasing the dollar.
Right. Yeah. No. I think that's very important that you brought that up, Jerry, because I think it has to start from that core place,
Yeah.
or it's really not authentic, and it really isn't going to bring you peace. Because if you're living on $300 a day, but you're really concerned about when your money's going to run out, or what if this doesn't happen or that doesn't happen, then it really isn't. It's not peaceful,
Yeah.
and it would feel stressful, and you probably feel deprived. You know,
Yeah.
like you're not like you're just barely getting by.
Right, right.
But if it comes from an authentic place,
Yeah.
that peace is the goal.
Yeah.
And I mean, we can put on some really light music and truly sit in that peace.
Yeah.
Because that's a practice, you
Right.
know, just to be there. And it's free, right? You
Yeah.
got some water, you
Right.
got some, you no longer need a glass of wine at the end of the day.
Right,
You know?
exactly.
You don't need to,
Yeah,
smoke a
just
joint with your
stimulants and-
friends
yeah.
or whatever it is.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's not necessity.
Okay, what about people coming down, and they want to come down because of the economics,
Right.
They may only have $1,200, $800 a month,
Wow.
Social Security.
I wouldn't know what to do with it. I'd have to save money or give it away.
Yeah, so yes, but they have a whole different mindset. In other words, you've achieved this satisfaction of contentment, and you are aware of it. But when I see certain people coming down, and if they're too low on it, they're struggling, because they haven't made that conscious switch that peace was the objective.
Right, good point.
What advice would you give somebody like that? I don't know, advice is the right word.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you're right. If you come from the money perspective and you're doing this just because the money is cheap and it's all about
Yeah,
minimalism or something like that, I don't have any advice for you.
yeah.
I don't think it would work. I had the blessing of having all the money in the world, and I've seen people that spent 3 to 5 times what I spent to
Yeah.
fly all over the place. But I would want their life. I wouldn't trade my life for theirs. I have a friend that's a billionaire.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't even get a hold of him sometimes.
Yeah, right.
He hasn't got 5 minutes to talk.
Yeah, that's right, yeah,
I mean, wow.
yeah.
I actually feel sorry for him
Yeah.
and bless him.
But one of the things that Lori and I get out of a lot of enjoyment here in Mexico, and when we travel, typically we travel to third world countries, because we like the people. We like
Yes.
we like the simplicity of their spirit. They're very gentle. They're very kind. They're very open. They bring you in their house. They'll feed you. They'll do all this
Yeah.
stuff. They're not asking for anything. And what I've noticed is that when people come down and embrace the culture, which you have, embrace the culture, and they walk down the street, and they, like myself, when I walk down the street and I see a Mexican and I say, Buenos dias,
Yes.
I mean, I'm in ecstasy. I
Yeah.
get nirvana. I mean, really.
No, I know what you mean.
I know you do.
Feel their heart. Like, they're not just like, oh, hi, like back home, if you get high
Yeah.
on the street, you know what I mean? Downtown where I come from, it's so cold, they're just like, everybody's just like, and they got their missions and their goals and their
Yeah.
ambition, and
Yeah.
you're striving to pay all the bills and just get by, and it's so stressful.
Yeah.
And it's hard to really say an authentic hi.
Yeah.
How are you?
Yeah.
Really, and that's what I feel here is that when the people say, Buenas tardes,
Yeah.
Buenas tardes, you can almost feel the ring of joy
Yeah.
in their voice. And watching, the kids on the street at night just playing with their neighbors,
Yeah.
right? Like they can't
Yeah.
afford to get driven across town to play soccer or whatever the hell it is. They're playing, they're kicking a ball around their neighborhood on the cobblestones. It's incredible, right? And they'll start a fire right outside their house, and all the neighbors will just come in, and you'll have to drive around them.
Yeah.
You have a car,
Exactly.
or walk around. So I find that's just absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. I think that's where I think the difference of getting that deep satisfaction. I mean, when that soul connection,
Yeah.
when we walk around and we just say Buenos tardes, and it's not it's not like, oh yeah, that was cool, they said it. It comes from here where you just feel it, and that's the quality that Lori and I feel also of living here in other countries also, that it's priceless.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I mean, I was saving, you know, millions of dollars to have those moments. You know, like that was supposed to be the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. But I'd become so ambitious to get there that my mind was still ambitious, and it was still churning and churning. And now, you know, without that, I have the pause. I can see the glitter on the lake. I could see the sunsets, and I've got 15 minutes to spend with it.
Right.
You know, you know.
And as a kid, I used to love watching ants.
Yeah.
You know, you just sit there and they you know, they'd be packing around and they'd be, you know, they'd fall over and I loved it. And then I realized I want to just be able to watch ants.
Yeah. Isn't that what it is, really? It's like if our retirement could be like our childhood. Well, you know, mom and dad paid the bills. They worried about all that stuff. And we just ran around in our bare feet in the grass fields. And there was something you just don't get in touch with anymore in this busy world with all of, you know, you start watching social media or the media on TV.
Right.
Oh my God. That's one thing I can advise her. I turned that off 15 years ago.
Yeah.
It's all corporate driven and just turn off. You know, don't read it. I haven't read a newspaper. We never have newspapers around here. We have no television. There's no media.
That's key.
Oh, that's a huge must.
Yeah.
That's the diet, the one diet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's difficult to explain in a YouTube video
For sure.
across to people, you know, of that spirit of Mexico has, and the culture. And I found that people who come down and embrace the culture, you know, go to the parades and go to the fiestas and
Yes.
do part of it and just smile and enjoy it.
Right.
I mean, that's the quality of life
Yeah.
that is priceless. Yeah.
And you get that walking down the streets, taking the buses, going
Right.
to the squares, shopping at the local markets. It's not like, you know, down back home, it's all big boxes. They don't even know who you are.
Yeah.
You know, you walk in, it's like you're a ghost. Here, you go to the same guy to get your fish every day. You go to the next guy to get your vegetables. And it's, hey, ¿qué pasa, amigo? ¿Cómo está? Wham, wham in your hand, and already you're going. I mean, it just lights you up. And after a while, you just can't help but feel the blessing that it is to.
Yeah.
It's like the 50s and 60s and 70s. I think a lot of the older people can relate to that. When we used to play road hockey in the street, I'm Canadian, so maybe the Americans played stickball.
We looked at ants.
And but you know, I think that's the way it used to be.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it's still, you can still capture some of that
Yeah.
here.
That's right.
Yeah. So.
Well, Jack, this has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's really been a lot of fun. Just talking to you and stuff. We have a lot of material in there, and it's just great to feel that connection that you have gotten. I'm just so happy for you.
Yeah. Thank you, Jerry.
Good. Okay, we're social distancing.
Oh, we can do the Mexican one. You know the Mexican one?
How's that?
Slap,
I'm not going to touch you.
slap and punch.
No, yes.
That's the Mexican one. The Asian, yeah.
That's why their virus didn't spread.
Yeah.
Give him a hug.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thanks, Jack. You're the greatest.
Yeah.
In an upcoming video, we're going to sit down with the three of them. And also, Elaine's going to give us a tour of the house. Also, see these videos on our YouTube channel. Elaine retires at $300 a month, and Dan lives large on $300 a month. Upcoming videos coming soon. Check them out.